Okay, let's use a word problem to find part of a base. And and we're using percents and proportions here. We're also going to use this proportion that we talked about in the last lesson, where A is P% of B, and think of B as the base. So let's see what this question is. In a survey, 525 teenagers were asked to name the water sport that they would most like to try, and 20% said surfing. How many teenagers said surfing? Okay, so we have 525 teenagers. That's going to be our total number. That's how many teenagers were asked. So that's going to be our base. So B equals 525. And then 20% said surfing. So 20% said surfing. So 20 is going to be our percent. So P. So P equals 20%. And then A is actually what we're going to try to find. So we don't know what A is. So we're going to use this proportion. So A over B, which is 525, equals P, which is 20. And we're not going to write the percent because we're going to write it as over 100. Remember, 20% is the same thing as 20 over 100. So A over 525 equals 20 over 100. And then all we have to do is solve for A. So we can multiply both sides by 525. So multiply by 525. And on the left side, the 525s cancel out, and you're left with A. And then on the right side, well, we can simplify this fraction. 20 over 100 is the same thing. Well, 20 goes into 105 times. So if we divide the numerator and the denominator by 20, we'll get 1 over 5 times 525. And 525 can be written as a fraction. We can just write it as 525 over 1, and then multiply straight across, and you would get 525 over 5. So all we have to do now is divide 525 by 5, and we'll have A. So 525 divided by 5. Well, 5 goes into 5 once. 5 doesn't go into 2, so we have to put a 0. Remember to put a 0 there, otherwise you'll get the wrong answer. And then 5 goes into 25 5 times. And 5 times 5 is 25. So 25 minus 25 is 0. So you don't have a remainder. So A equals 105. A equals 105. So to answer the question, it asks how many teenagers said surfing. Well, 105 teenagers did. 105 teenagers did. And another way of asking this question would be, well, what is 20% of 525? Because that's really what we're finding here. Because it said 525 teenagers were asked, and 20% said surfing. So how many teenagers said surfing? So what is 20% of 525? And we found that it's 105.